Hello, and this is an introduction to Google Meets. I'm hoping that we all have had some experience in the recent years with video conferencing, but this should help you as teachers just get a start with Google Meets. Let's say you came from a Zoom district and now you're in a Google district. You have to have a Google account in order for Google Meets to work like this for you. So if you are in a district where your email is Gmail, you are set up for this to be your home screen for a Google Meet, okay? So if you want to start or schedule a meeting, you can start it right away. You can create a meeting for later. You can schedule it in Google Calendar. So I'm going to schedule one in Google Calendar just to show you how that works. This will bring you to your Google Calendar. And let's say our meeting is district updates. I'm going to let that meeting take place today at 3 o'clock, but you have all of these options here that you can change using their drop down, or you could type it in. I can start this meeting at 3:12 p.m. if I really want to. It tends to default to a 1-hour meeting time. So if you are trying to schedule something, say with a parent, but you don't have an hour to meet with them, you can cut this off. So if my last class ends at 3:12, but my next class starts at 3:58, I can schedule this for 3:56 p.m. And the parent will know that that's supposed to be the end of our meeting time. You can schedule repeating ones. So let's say you have a student who needs weekly tutoring but can't stay with you after school, so you schedule it for some time. You can repeat it daily, every Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is. You can do it once a year if you're trying to schedule, say, IEP reviews, and that'll just give you a reminder the coming year to schedule it, and you could always, of course, go back and modify the dates. So it will send an email that has a join with Google Meet button, but it'll also have this code down on the bottom. So if someone has an issue with this, they can just put this link in, or they can go to meets.google.com. I'm sorry, meet.google.com and type this code in, and it will take them to that meeting. If there's a physical location, you can add it. You can have Google remind you to join the meeting 10 minutes before. And it shows that I am the creator of this meeting. And it'll show everybody in my Google Calendar that I'm busy at this time. So if I want to invite people, I can click here, and this is bringing up recent contacts within my organization. You can also add someone's email address here and invite them to the meeting with an email that's automatically generated by Google. Once you click Save, you'll be able to see that in your Google Calendar. Now I'm going to go ahead and start a new meeting right now. And it said create an instant meeting, and hey, look at that, it created an instant meeting, and I turned off the camera really fast because I'm sure you don't want to see my face. But the settings are here, so we can turn the camera on and off. We can turn our microphone on and off for the meeting. You can see that little bubble kind of around my avatar showing you that I'm the one who the audio is coming from. That can be helpful if you have a whole group of people on a meeting, somebody's audio is coming through and you don't know who. This is a great place to be able to look and find that out. So I can pin myself as the main person that I view in the meeting. I can apply some visual effects. So I can do things, if I was actually in the picture, I could put myself under the sea. I could put myself in Paris if I want to be visible. But let's say I'm taking a meeting from home and I don't want everybody to see the books on my bookshelf or the clutter on my table. I can use one of those to kind of mask my backdrop. Closed captioning can be turned on. You can add things to the chat. Some of the most helpful features, I'm going to try to narrow it to that, are if you want to know who's in the meeting to make sure everybody's there, you can click the person icon right here, and that brings up the list of everybody who's in. You can add people if you forgot to invite someone. You can see if everybody's muted. You can have the chat going. You can record your meeting if you need it, and you can get Google to generate a transcript of your meeting. These things are great for if you're meeting with parents and you need to have a record of what was said or what your plan was. These are lovely additions to Google Classroom. I'm sorry, to Google Meet. You have some other options in here. Okay, you can change the layout if you don't see everybody in the meeting and you want to. You can increase the number of people you can see, or you could decrease it. You can apply those visual effects that I showed you before where you're hiding under the sea. You could turn on closed captions for everybody. You can open picture in picture, which is interesting because it lets you pop that meeting out into another box. You could see it right here. So I'm going to pop it back in. Okay, and some of these features you're not going to use in every single meeting. You're not going to use breakout rooms if you're having meetings with a parent or a colleague. But I just also wanted to show you these options right here. I'm the only person in the meeting, so this pops up on my screen where I can add others. If you don't see this, or if you close this, you can pop up your meeting information here. On the bottom, you can see the code to join the meeting, so that you can send that code to people so that they can rejoin you. Okay. The thing that I use most often, and the last thing that I'll leave you with, is presenting my screen. So let's say I want people to see what their student is doing in class. I can click here and it'll share just that Chrome tab. Okay. So in this case, I had pulled up a copy of my textbook for what I'm working on with my students currently. You can see me scrolling this, but so can anybody in that Google Meet. Okay, I can unpin this so that that's not the main thing I'm seeing, and then I'll be able to see people's faces as well. If I pin it back, whatever's being presented, and that's the default when someone's presenting their screen, it kind of takes over. So if you need to see people for some reason while this presentation's coming, you can unpin it, and that's helpful. I can boot someone from the call as well. So let's say I'm presenting and I can't find what tab I'm presenting. I can just remove it from the call. And there you go. Okay, if you block and report, that means that somebody was doing something that's not acceptable. So you don't want to do that unless you absolutely meant to. That's a quick intro to Google Meet. I hope that that helped you get started, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your experience with Google.